Buddy, thank you very much for giving me the possibility to give a very, very short update about the EOFS activity before lunch, and I promise not to go over the starting point when lunch begins at noon. So I would like to start with congratulating OpenSFS and SARP and your team for setting up an excellent Lustre user group meeting LUG 2018. The quality of the contribution, what we hear, is just great, and we really see that the community where Lustre plays a significant role is growing. That's what we also heard in our discussions yesterday, and this is really a success story. I would like to show a little bit of that success story, which started 9 years ago, in the next slides. But for me, who saw that also within the last couple of years, it's great to be part of such a great development and such a great community for Lustre. Now, EOFS, European Open File Systems Cooperative. What is it all about? There are members here who might not have heard too often about EOFS. What we do is we are the platform in Europe for the Lustre community, for the developers, for the users, for industry. And what you can see here, our member have from academia to research center, from industry to small and medium enterprises, a good mixture. We see ourselves as the brothers or the sister company association to OpenSFS on the European side, and we contribute to that joint undertaking to keep Lustre within a good condition and to give your activity a broad future. Now, these members vote for 6 members of the board. It's the companies and not the individual. It's Athos Bull, it's CEA, it is GSI, HPE, Intel, and Leibniz Rechenzentrum in Munich. So these 6 participants of the board vote for a German president, which is right now HPE, represented by Frank Bethke, and the vice president is CEA, represented by Jacques-Charles Lafoucrier in France. The day-to-day business is done with 2 directors, DDN, represented by Brett Costello, and Partec, my company. I'm doing that position for Partec as being the director, one of the 2. Now, let's go back a little bit to the legacy of these joint undertakings and the history. Some of you might say we heard that quite often. A few of you might say it's the first time. I make it very fast, but I think it's important to look back why OpenSFS and EOFS started. What was the reason for it? Why did we join forces? It was actually almost around today, 9 years ago, April 20th in 2009, when we all woke up in the morning with the news Oracle bought Sun. And this was a shocking news in these days because nobody knew how would that affect the future of Lustre. So many people in Europe, many people in the United States flew in and out, met companies, research centers. I remember all that meetings. And finally, there was the idea we need 2 community platforms. One was OpenSFS, and the other one was EOFS as brother and sister entities to work closely together. So we were founded. Then WemCloud, as the industrial part, came up and took over quite a number of developers, of technicians. And Seagate finally was able to get IP from Oracle, which was very important for the community because one part of that was jointly signed in with a contract to OpenSFS and EOFS, which is handling and owning Lustre.org. Now, finally, Intel acquired WAM Cloud. Intel hosting the tree started in that time. And it was a joint, if I look to OpenSFS, it was a joint industrial and community-led organization. And EOFS on the other side tried to support that development. I have to say congratulations once again at this point, because SARP, your team, your board in OpenSFS made it then as a second step happen to make a transition from that very industrial-led focus to a real community user group platform, OpenSFS, not taking the industry out, but taking the users and the developers in the center. And what we saw this year that finally, and you feel that if you look into that auditorium, that this is successfully done, that new spirit is here, and I think that's a great foundation for the next years to come for a very successful OpenSFS. So congratulations from EOFS to the success you had with all that legal work and the legal framework and the bylaws. We all know that's not easy, but you did it in a very successful way. Now, how are we working together? How does EOFS see that? You are right now part of the Lustre user group, LUG, and we support that as well. Of course, it's organized by OpenSFS, but we are quite behind that spirit and do anything to keep that idea of a Lustre user group in the United States, also in Europe, a very, very important part where companies, where developers, users join forces and come to LUG. The other part is LED. I come to that in a minute, which is organized by CEA. We have Aurélien here in our room since many years, very, very successful, and it's coming up soon in September. And also EOFS as OpenSFS is behind that European entity for having the Lustre community joining together. Now, what we also do is we set up joint undertakings like we did in the past, having joint booth at supercomputing and at international supercomputing. We didn't do that in the last couple of years because we decided jointly to go for a more active role, and this is showing Lustre's development with both sessions as well as ISC in Frankfurt and here in the United States at the SC meetings. Now, the next one, and I got that information yesterday, we have the date for the Lustre in HPC and big data, both showing the roadmap, the features, and the challenges. This was a paper sent in jointly by Frank Bethke and by SARP, and they were accepted. And as you see, it's an entire hour on June 26 at ISC in Frankfurt. And we, of course, invite all of you who are at ISC to come up to that meeting. And then, just for your information, there is a second BOF within Parallel IO, which is BGVS, and it's a good opportunity to go to that meeting and see how advanced Lustre is. So it's good to have a look in comparison. I'm just bringing that up because it's a second BOF immediately after our meeting, and because of fairness, of course, we give you that kind of information. Now, the European part in bringing the community together in Paris is also set up. It's September the 24th to Tuesday, September 25th. In Paris, at the Marriott Hotel. Many of you, I know, already attended not just once this event. You are cordially invited. Aurélien was asking me to give that invitation to you. It will be followed on September 26 by the Developer Summit, and the proposal deadline, keep that in mind, is July 29th. And of course, as you see with blue color, the participating companies and organizations are invited to sponsor LED 18. Again, you have Aurélien in the room, so just contact him for that joint undertaking. So what you see is what started 9 years ago in the foundation of OpenSFS and EOFS, with all that ups and downs and changes in the last 9 years, I think contributed significantly with all your help to the success of the Lustre community. It brought back confidence for the Lustre users. It brought back platform for the Lustre developers. And it brought also back the stage like LUG, like LED, like the BOFs, where you all join together and know there are enough partners to contribute to a successful future of Lustre. And this is all our mission in OpenSFS and in EOFS. Thank you.